Hello, beautiful people. Today we're going to learn about what exactly is a computer and then learn how to teach it to the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. Now, what would you say if I were to tell you 2 plus 2? You will immediately respond by saying 4. But if you were to type on a computer 2 plus 2, what do you think it will respond? You're probably going to think that it's 4. Let's see. If I type 2 plus 2, the computer is simply going to wait. It's not going to give me anything because I haven't really clicked equals. A computer needs precise instructions from human beings so that it can complete a task. A computer is simply a machine that follows human beings' instructions to complete a task. And there are 4 things that essentially all computers do. First, they take in input. Second, they process that input. Third, they store that information. And fourth, they output that information. So in the case of this calculator, the calculator is taking the input 2 plus 2, that's the input. Second, the calculator is going to process this input when I press equals. So it processed that information. The third, the calculator is storing that information right over here to the right of the screen that you can see. Fourth, it is outputting that information, what it has processed, onto the screen over here as 4. So all computers do essentially these 4 things: input, process, store, and output. Now, we are used to thinking that a computer is something that we have on our desktop, on the top of our desk, and a laptop is something different than a computer. The word laptop, the word desktop, these are just types of a computer. The desktop is the same as the laptop because they're computers, but they're different types of computers. And computers exist in different sizes as well. So this is a computer. Believe it or not, these oldies are also a computer because they take in our input. Maybe we want to call someone, we can dial the number as input. We can call and the computer is going to process that call through that phone number. Is going to store that phone number if we want to save it as a contact. And then it will display the phone number as output. And on the screen, it already displays all kinds of things. So this is a computer. This smartphone, Android phone, is a computer. Our Apple Watches, our digital watches, they're also computers because they take an input, they process that input, they store information, and they output on the screen. Smart TVs are also computers. And these spaghetti monsters, these drones are also computers because they take in our input. If we wanted them to go up, down, left, right, they follow our instruction. And they process that instruction. They may store images and capture videos and stuff. And we can use the USB to output it on our screen. So they're also computers. Our cars have computers inside them to play music, to connect to the Bluetooth, to connect to the radio, to control the temperature inside the car, and to navigate and stuff. So cars also have computers inside them. So as you can see, computers come in different shapes and sizes. Now let's navigate to the lesson plan so that you can learn how to teach this lesson. You can find the lesson plan in the CS program folder. Go to the CS program folder, go into the lesson plans folder, and then go to the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade folder. Over there, go into this folder for your first lesson, what is a computer. In this folder, you will find 3 things: computer or not slides, examples of a computer slides, and the Word document for the lesson plan. Let's open the Word document for the lesson plan. So this is the overview of your lesson plan. Now, you should always begin by getting yourself ready first. This is one of the most important parts of the lesson plans because it covers the objective of the lesson plan. So in this case, students will be able to describe what a computer actually is, what it does, and share what they use computers for. Everything that you do in this lesson should surround this objective. And the next part is the key vocab terms you need to know. So what is a computer? Input, process, store, and output. These are the key vocab terms. And the third part of getting yourself ready is looking over the agenda. So the agenda divides your lesson into these practical minutes. So the first part of your actual teaching of the lesson is sharing. So when you go to the share section, you see that I ask tutors to ask their students and also share their own responses to these questions, which is, what problems do computers help you solve in your daily lives? What are your favorite things to do on a computer? Favorite games, applications? Why do you like them? How do you see others using computers? And these are just guiding questions. You can change these questions depending on how your conversation is going, ask follow-up questions, but this is sort of like your job to sort of connect to your students on a human level and to set the tone for your main teaching of the lesson. And before that, I have this section called Main Lesson Idea. This is just a cheat sheet for you so that you know the knowledge that you're trying to teach to your students. So as you can see, like over here, the key vocab terms you needed to know was computer, input, process, store, and output. Over here, I have that information for you so that in the middle of the lesson, if you forgot, for instance, what all computers do, these 4 things, what are those 4 things? Maybe you forgot that. So you can quickly check back to this lesson plan and be like, okay, computers take input, process information, and etc. etc. So after you share, I want you to lead the lesson to this teaching the lesson part where you ask, and you might remember from the earlier part of this video that I asked you the same question. What would you say when I say 2 plus 2? You're going to ask that same question to your student, and I have these to the right, like these response that students usually give. They'll say 4, and you have to ask follow-up, like, okay, if I type on a computer 2 plus 2, what do you think it will respond? They'll say 4. But when you open a calculator and type 2 plus 2, like I did with you guys, they will say, no, like it doesn't say 4, because you have to type equal sign. And that's exactly, you have to then say that, yes, computers need specific informations from human beings to execute a task. Computers are super fast, but they are very stupid. These are the actual words of a computer science professor in our computer science program. He said computers are super fast, but they're very stupid. We need to tell the computer exactly, in a very precise manner, what it needs to do. Otherwise, it will not work. So if we let the computer just sit, will the computer do anything? That's what we're asking students. And they're going to have different responses. They're going to say no. They're going to say yes. But the answer is, if you just let it sit, it's technically like not doing anything meaningful. The computer needs specific instructions from human beings. As I said, computer is just a machine that follows what we tell it to do. So this is just a script of your teaching the lesson. So if you just follow this, you should be fine. But I really want you to sort of go over this and, really know what you're going to be teaching, the main lesson idea, as I hope that you have learned from watching this video. Go over some examples of a computer, laptops, Apple Watches, and iPads and stuff. And then as you go over those examples, you also have to now bring it to the second part of the second idea of this lesson, which is all these computers have these 4 things in common. They all do these 4 things, which is taking the input, processing the input, storing the information, and outputting the information. And here you can give an example of a Google document that when we write, it takes the input and it processes it by increasing the word count, by showing it on the screen. It stores that information in Google Drive, and then when we close it and open it, it outputs it on the screen to display it. So that's an example of a computer. A calculator does the same thing. So an Apple Watch does the same thing. And so related to that, in the end, the criteria for mastery is what's going to tell you that whether your student learned what you just taught. So these are the questions to ask your students to describe them what a computer is. A computer is a machine that follows human instructions to complete a specific task. This is the kind of answer that you're looking for. But anything that matches that is sort of the right answer. We are taking the answers verbally right now. So what are examples of a computer? They can say the examples of a computer, and what are the 4 things that computers do? And then you have to kind of do this computer or not activity. The time is gonna fly by so fast. Let me tell you this. By the time you get to this activity, this activity is basically you can find it in the folder over here, computer or not, where you are gonna go over whether a certain device is a computer or not. So a key is not a computer, obviously. This is a computer. This actually washing machine is also a computer because it follows our instructions. 30 minutes dry time, 30 minutes dry time, and it beeps after it's done. So it's taking the input, it's processing the information, it's outputting it. And iron is not a computer. The cashier machine is a computer. So going over these examples to sort of really know whether your students see the difference between what a computer is and what a computer is, what are the things that are not a computer. So that's the lesson plan. Please reach out to me if you guys have any questions. And yep, thank you very much for joining.